Elite Sports Travel Podcast with myself, Vern and of course the main man, Mr. Neil Reynolds. Neil, you've had a very busy summer so far.
I have, good to see you again. Good to connect again. I've just got back from a training camp trip. So I went 7 teams in 8 days. So I started in Jacksonville, flew up to Minneapolis, saw the Minnesota Vikings, and then this is where it gets a bit stupid, really. I then drove from Minnesota all the way to New York. So I saw Indianapolis, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Washington, and the New York Jets. So 7 teams, 8 days. And a lot of miles. So, yeah, always a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun because you've got a great relationship now. Because you've been doing the Sky Sports American football for quite a while, you've got to know the franchises. It's not about the players. It's about building a relationship with the franchise. So then when you give them a bell, drop them an email, they're like, yeah, Neil, just come along. And now what I saw, beautiful with Justin Jefferson at the Vikings, just absolute pure joy. Came over, recognised you straight away, and that's what you want as a sports broadcaster.
Yeah, and that's just building that trust. And Justin was not practicing that day. He had a hamstring injury, and he wasn't doing any media. And the Vikings had told me that's not going to happen this time around. You'll get him next time. And then about 5 minutes after practice, they were like, "We think you're getting Justin." And I was like, "Okay, I'm ready. Whenever you are, we can just sitting and having a chat." And he just came over and once I knew it was my guy, I had to do it. I was like, yes. So yeah, it's about, I get really good access. I'm very privileged with that. Speak to TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Mike Tomlin. So didn't get number 8 in Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers. I think it's because of some of your comments, one of these previous podcasts. Probably.
I'm not surprised, and I stand by those comments. Let's just wait and see.
Yeah, I think
let's just wait and see what the old man's got to offer.
Interesting when you watched him practice. The arm strength is as good as ever, and I don't think you ever questioned that. It's can you move in today's NFL, right? That's the worry.
That's exactly what it is. Now, you mentioned 2 teams who were talked about a lot in the draft. The Cleveland Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars, because both of them acquired players from Colorado under the guidance of Mr. Shedeur Sanders. What was it like, first of all, in Cleveland? Because we're talking about what happened after. No, let's talk about first the arrival of a certain young gentleman and then his performance in his first game as a Cleveland Brown.
Well, Shedeur Sanders, the 5th round draft pick, arrived for the game with an entourage. Looked like the Grim Reaper was there. Some guy
was carrying a scythe. A scythe.
I mean, I don't know. Is it? I mean, let's wait and see, right? I mean, play a game before you do that, and that's the issue. I think that's why people were concerned about him. That's what teams had those concerns, is that the aura is too big, and you haven't backed it up on the field yet. Very, very good. Very, very good in his NFL debut. The only thing I would say, and I don't want to pour kind of too much water on it, cold water, but you can't do all that scrambling around like Fran Tarkenton, look him up, kids, at the NFL level. That's not going to fly, I don't think, week in and week out. He was running for his life half the time, making plays, yes. But I don't know about all the other stuff. It's the other stuff that is the kind of concern.
Yeah, it just smells at the moment of a little bit Johnny football.
Yep, great comparison.
In comparison, because when the media circus becomes bigger than your play on the field, then you've got to worry. And the one thing that concerns me, and I know his dad was the king of playing the media, he was the king of being the hype man. Everything's on me. He took a lot of flack. He was the centre of attention in Atlanta, Shedeur Sanders, and then Dallas, and then San Francisco. He was the circus, and he created a lot of attention. But one thing we definitely know, and the history books prove it, he had the game to match the hype.
And that's it. You got to, and that's why I'd rather see this kind of thing in week 12. Look, at the moment, Joe Flacco's the starter of that team.
Yeah,
Flacco wasn't playing in that preseason game because he's the starter of that team. They've got Dylan Gabriel there who's injured. They brought in Tyler Huntley now from Baltimore. They've got 6 quarterbacks on their roster. It's funny because I go around all these training camps and I was like everyone else. I wanted to see Shedeur, see what he did on the field. And this can happen sometimes as well. In the individual drills right at the start of practice. He strained his shoulder. He didn't throw the rest of the day. I didn't see him. He basically stood around. Me and Shedeur Sanders had something in common on that Saturday in Cleveland. Neither of us threw a pass. But then he had an entourage and I didn't. So.
Yeah, a couple of crew from Sky.
Yeah, exactly. But I liked his guy. I liked Travis Hunter in Jacksonville. I know you want to sort of kind of talk about him. And very interesting when I was there, he was exclusively on offense that day. And they've done that a few times. They've just had more offensive work sometimes than defensive. I think it's easier. Again, you've played defense. I've played a bit of offense. They seem to believe they can line him up on offense a lot more, a lot quicker than they can on defense. And he's just a bundle of energy. Every time he caught a pass, he did look good that day. Every time he caught a pass, he's dancing. The crowd are loving it. I just think when we look at Travis Hunter, we'll see him more on offense before we see him on defense.
Let me ask you a quick question, Neil. From your relationship with the Jags, the UK's relationship with the Jags, and you have a very good relationship with the internals of Jacksonville Jaguars. Where do they need him to play best the most?
They need another receiver alongside Brian Thomas. Everything this year is about Trevor Lawrence. I spoke to Trevor and he said as well, I know it's a big year. I hear the noise. I know the questions that are out there. So they need another receiver. They had 12. I was looking at, so I'm so English sometimes when I go to this. It was 112 degrees Fahrenheit in Jacksonville. And it was 9 o'clock in the morning.
No.
So
Hang on. 112 at 9 a.m.
Yeah, what's that? 40 plus, isn't it? At 9 a.m. At 20 past 9, it was 112.
What?
So I'm literally stood directly behind the goalpost because it's creating the only bit of shadow, looking like a proper Englishman. I might as well have a knotted hanky. And I'm going through the roster. They had 12 wide receivers or tight ends who are either in their first year or second year in the NFL. So they're so young. They're so young. And they need Brian Thomas and they need Travis Hunter to bring out the best in Trevor Lawrence. Another new head coach for Trevor Lawrence. I've been going to Jacksonville since 2013 to interview players and coaches. Liam Cohen is their 5th head coach.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That's why you struggle to find that kind of consistency. You just roll through head coaches.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It really is. And hopefully they'll get some momentum. Hopefully they can find... I mean, issues with coaches are the same in any sport.
Yep.
You need someone to bring consistency. You need someone that's going to bring in a culture that works for the players both on and off the field.
Yep.
You need that discipline. You need that mentality to win. And I think Jacksonville, we've had, one playoff experience in the past 10 years, I think it is.
The 2017 season when they almost got to the Super Bowl. They were leading against the Patriots with 5 minutes left. So that season, that's it, really, yes.
Yeah,
so,
and then as fans, especially
and then they had
UK
the comeback
fans,
against the Chargers. But that was, again, I feel like this team's had too many false dawns. So I'm waiting to be convinced now.
We need it. I think NFL UK needs it. We need the Jags because of everything that they've invested in. We need the Jags to come through and prove that they can win.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We definitely do. Let me ask you a quick question. One thing from all the teams that you saw, what was your big standout surprise?
I did not. Well, so Washington was really eye-opening because I knew Jayden Daniels was slight. I didn't realise how damn skinny he was.
Really?
Oh, my God. I mean, I just suddenly thought, well, this guy has to really protect himself. He is so skinny. And Bobby Wagner told me afterwards he's done a great job. Jayden's done a great job of bulking up this year. I was like, wow, I don't think he has. So he's got to run smart whenever he runs. That he was the one. So it was interesting because he was the one who, everywhere I went, players are getting screamed at. Rodgers is getting shouted for as they're over the barriers. You know what training camps like. You've been there you've been to training camps in the past. You've been to the 49ers. The players are right there. They're literally 6 feet away from you. So they get screamed at. They get shouted at. A couple of years ago, I went on a tour and Odell Beckham was still like a rock star. Odell Beckham is the one I've ever seen that gets treated like the Beatles arriving in America. And on this trip, it was Jayden Daniels. And they're chanting his name and they're screaming. And at one point, the fence almost went down where they were trying to get to him. And I interviewed him and he came and he sat with a towel over his head. And I said to him, I said, what do you think of all the spotlight? And he was like, I don't like it. He said, I don't like it. He said, I know that runs contrary to the position and I have to become accustomed to it. But he is a reluctant superstar, I'm telling you. That to me was really eye-opening because he's one of the biggest, brightest stars in the game. He wants no part of that side of it.
Do you know what, Neil? I kind of like that.
Right.
I kind of like that because it means that he's not going to be attracted by the dark side of superstardom. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we know what it is. It's the money, it's the cars, it's the big house, it's the girls, it's that extracurricular activity. You know, it always makes the headlines with sports stars. But if you've got a young kid who wants to play football and play it well, hopefully get in the record books, then under their head coach there, the big fella,
Dan Quinn.
You've got someone that can take that young man and can put him in a leadership role because he's been there. Everyone who I spoke to, well, we know our mutual friend, Adam Durdy, who's at the Seahawks, everyone says that Dan Quinn is just the best at setting the tempo.
Yeah, he is. I think he does a great job of he told me that, I'm their friend, but I'll be their disciplinarian if I have to. He's a very, very switched on head coach.
Yeah.
He and Bobby Wagner talked about Jayden Daniels being flatline and, in those big moments where he just looks so calm. And the coach and Wagner both said that's just unique. In all the years they've been in football, they haven't seen that. So this is where I'm always looking for, you think sometimes you're being really journalistic and you think, well, maybe there's a secret. Maybe he trains for it. I've spoken to Aaron Rodgers before and he's talked about his breathing and his yoga and everything, all the bits that Rodgers does. And I said to Jayden, why are you like that in those moments? Just chill, man. That's just me. That's just me 24/7. I was like, well, so you don't work at it? I was like, no, that's just me. I'm just chilled. And I was like, okay, this kid's that's just how he is. That's just how he's built.
I love that.
He's stumbled into superstardom. So that was a big takeaway. The other thing, just from a football side of it, I am seeing more and more team drills. This is really X's and O's and nerdy, but more and more 11-on-11 team drills. And I think the reason for that is these stars aren't playing in the preseason. They're not playing in the preseason, so all these teams are trying to get their work done in training camp. That was pretty interesting to me.
So you mean in training camp, first teamers are stepping up?
Yeah,
but they're not playing in the preseason game.
Yeah, so they're not playing in the preseason, but often I used to go and I'd see loads of individual drills, loads of technique work. Then you'd see a little bit of 7-on-7 passing drills, and then a little bit of 11-on-11. I mean, we went to Pittsburgh and it's 11-on-11 and they're tackling to the ground. So it was like a preseason scrimmage. Yeah, you don't see that very often.
Wow.
So I think that's because, we're not going to see Aaron Rodgers play in the preseason. We're not seeing Joe Flacco play in the preseason. So they get their work done in training camp now. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. The whole trip was really good. Really enjoyed it. You learn, even with just 10 minutes with, I don't know, Anthony Richardson, the quarterback of the Colts. I had a perception of him before I went in that I came out very different. I was like, he was talking last year about, obviously it was huge, tapping out tired. You just no one's ever done that in NFL history. I kind of broached the subject very gently and diplomatically. But he said he had to look at the man in the mirror and that he had to change and he's learned from his mistakes and learned from the past. So lots of things you can learn from this. And you've been there, it's just a great time, isn't it, with the fans and so close to the players?
It really is. And when you're at training camp, one thing you get straight away, you recognise it positively and negatively, is the camaraderie amongst the players. You see those players who, when drills finish, they walk off on their own.
Right.
Like helmet straight off or keep the helmet on and just walk straight off. You think, oh, it's a bit shady. And then there's the guys, and then there's those guys that kind of surround the head coach. Hey, coach.
The little dynamics. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, the little dynamics. And one thing that we noticed in San Francisco, which really affected my kids actually, was their linebacker Greenlaw at the time. He was being pestered and mithered by a kid for an autograph, and he walked off. And he must have had a moment where he just thought, what if I was that kid? And he turned round and he took his gloves off and he took his sweatbands off and he took the pen and he signed his gloves, both gloves, signed the wristbands, and he went, "There you go, kid." And I just thought, that's class.
Yeah.
That's absolute class, because that kid will never, ever, ever, ever forget that guy turning around and giving him his gloves.
That's what it's about. That's it. Those little moments that they have. I saw Philip Rivers do that once at Chargers camp. He was going, a little kid was shouting at him for 10 minutes and he was going to go and sign. And then they tried to usher him off and he made sure the security guard took him back. In Pittsburgh this year, in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. So it's a college, St. Vincent College. It's where they train monks. So you see, honestly, this is what you see in training camp. You see monks in their brown robes standing there up on the top of the hill overlooking, watching the Steelers practice, probably sending one up for Aaron Rodgers and the Achilles. It's an incredible scene. But there's all the fans lined up by either side of the locker room. The players walk through to go into the locker room. And this one kid, he just wouldn't shut up. And we were doing interviews, and again, he was like, DK, DK. And DK Metcalf's like, this is getting on my nerves. He actually said that. But there was this kid was just chancing his arm at everything. He was like, he shouted the name of the long snapper. I mean, goodness knows how.
I like this guy.
And he went, Chris, you're the best long snapper in the world. And this guy walked past me. Chris has already gone in the locker room. I'm the backup.
No! Ouch!
So his long snapper knowledge wasn't all that anyway after all that.
Bless him.
But
at least he tried.
He did give it a really good try. So
at least he tried.
Yeah,
the first training camp I ever went to was when I was 16. I went to the Seahawks.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, up in Redmond.
On holiday?
I saw. Yeah, I was on holiday. I saw Dave Craig. What was the big defensive end called? Green.
Oh, Quartet. No. What was his name?
What was his name?
Oh, goodness.
I backed my maths book.
Jacob Green.
Jacob Green.
Jacob Green.
Jacob Green's autographed.
Oh,
Steve Largent's
Steve
autograph.
Largent, yeah.
Craig's autograph. It was an amazing experience. And one thing that I'll never forget is when the players came off, it was a roasting hot day, and they would finish with gassers, running up and down, sprints. And when they came off, I was asking for autographs. I was that kid, that nerdy English kid, and I had my Sharpie and my program, because you get proper program for training camp.
Mad.
And when I'd finished getting it signed, it was wet through the program with sweat, because when the players were leaning over it, the sweat was just pouring off their faces and their bodies. And I've still got it somewhere, but it was just wet through with players' DNA.
Well, last year I interviewed Trevor Lawrence. Well, first of all, I interviewed Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker from the Jags, the defensive linemen. They came into the indoor practice facility. We had 3 chairs. Those two sat down straight from the practice field. We did the interview. They got up, puddle of sweat in both chairs, full on puddle of sweat. Yeah. And then in walks Trevor Lawrence. And I'm like, Trevor can't sit in one of those chairs. They haven't got time to get another one. So I had to give Trevor my dry chair. And then I'm sat, and as I sat down, I was like, oof. Oh no. I had chino shorts on. I got up after the interview. I did the interview with Trevor. I went, just so you know, I have taken one for the team. Take a look at this. Turned around and then my backside's absolutely soaked. So this year, I put it on social media. I said hello to Trevor. He came straight off the practice field and we literally air hug like this. He's like, I'm super sweaty. I'm like, I'm not touching you then. I'm not falling for that again.
Funny.
I wanted to get your take on a couple of bits of news, actually, while I was doing my rounds. Obviously, training camp's a positive time for a lot of teams, but Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys.
Strange one, right?
It is, because isn't he generational? Isn't he supposed to be the next Lawrence Taylor? And
yeah,
I don't know why Jerry's sitting on his money with this one and calling him Michael Parson.
But also, yeah, that's so disrespectful. But also, if he is a generational player and he has had an impact on the league like he's had, Dallas should just pay him. Do you know what I mean? Just pay the guy, And now there's going to be a bit of bitterness between everyone. I don't know how the players would react, because I think players, once they get in the league and they play for a couple of years, it doesn't take long. They realise it's a business.
Yep.
And the owners have got to make business decisions. The coaches are just filtering the business decisions from the top onto the field. And this is a massive business decision. But the thing is with the Cowboys, they never seem to get going. They never seem to build a head of steam. Right. Ever since the glory days, under Jerry's first kind of era of reign, with all those Super Bowls that they won, they've never seemed to build a head of steam and build a team. Remember, there was a moment where it was obvious that they were building a fantastic offensive line for Tony Romo.
Right.
That never really got anywhere.
No.
And they had the best offensive line in the league, and nothing really happened.
Would you like a statistic to back up your point?
Yeah,
I love a stat. So in the first 30 years of the Super Bowl era, the Dallas Cowboys played in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl 16 times.
Wow.
If they failed to get to the NFC Championship game this year, they won't have reached it for the last 30. So they were in it. They were in at least the NFC Championship game 16 times in the first 30 years of the Super Bowl era, and they haven't made it in the last 29.
That's terrible, isn't it?
And you're
America's
right.
team.
They get to, and I think they can't get out of their own way. And the message you're sending to the rest of your players, I think, is concerning. Because if I'm another player in that locker room, saying, well, then they can't even pay Micah Parsons without messing him about.
Yeah.
Or if you're a free agent about to join a team next March, it's like, well, I'm not going to Dallas because it's just too much trouble.
Yeah.
Feels like
they've had issues with head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They had Dan Quinn under their nose as defensive coordinator. He's gone to Washington. They do exceptionally well with a brand new rookie quarterback, by the way. Dan Quinn does what Dan Quinn does. He's built what we talked about, what you need to do as a head coach. He's built that team mentality, that culture. And then the Cowboys failed again with their head coach. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it feels very underwhelming. Now, we made, sometimes head coaches hit, sometimes they don't. But going in-house for Brian Schottenheimer didn't feel very Dallas to me. It didn't feel very inspiring. If I'm a fan of Dallas right now, I'm worried about no running game. I'm worried about sort of some of the defensive defections that were there last year that followed Dan Quinn. I'm worried that we can't come to terms with our best player on defense. And I feel like they're falling behind. They've fallen massively behind Philadelphia. They've fallen behind Washington. That's just their division. Add in Detroit and Green Bay and Minnesota, and you're the Rams, and you're middle of the pack in the NFC. And so they've got a lot to prove. And unfortunately, it's still for this team as many headlines are off the field as they are on. And I don't know if the owner doesn't mind that.
Jerry's got to make the decision soon to tap out and hand it over to
owners don't get fired. Owners don't get fired.
No, I know, but
you're right. No, you're right. 100% right though. Stephen Jones.
I'm not going to be CEO anymore. I'm not going to be in charge. I'm going to hand it over to the family. Let's see if we can revamp this thing, because
I agree.
You can only live off a name for so long as America's team. And if you want America's team, they've got to win. They've got to be America's team. They've got to be the number one.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there has to be that succession plan. Stephen Jones has been around it for a long time. He's been involved in drafts. It feels like that's the next logical move. That's a hard one. I think you're talking about one of the most hands-on, influential owners. He's an owner. He's an owner with his own radio show.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that. Well, maybe I am and I'm not. I'm surprised that Jerry hasn't put his toe in the Premier League like other NFL owners. I'm really surprised because I think he's an ego guy.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that he hasn't thought about, maybe he has and maybe it's not come to fruition, but I just thought maybe Jerry would buy an international franchise somewhere.
That's one for our Premier League insider next time he's with us. We'll find out what Fletch thinks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we will.
One more thing. Did you see, this is not really news, but did you see Tom Brady's statue?
Oh yeah.
Mate, is his head too small? They've made Brady look like a defensive lineman first, and then there's a tiny little peanut head. I was like, what? How can people get these statues so wrong? It looked like the one that they tried to wind Beckham up with.
It did. Yeah, and it looked like a little bit, it wasn't as bad as the wonky Ronaldo one. Do you know that one? Have you seen the Cristiano one? That's terrible. But it looked like he had a really small head. And one thing, I remember seeing Brady a couple of times at Wembley, and one thing that Tom always did, he always taped up his ankles, like ridiculously so. It looked like his ankles were 4 times bigger than his legs.
Right.
And they've got that bit right on the statue. He's got big ankles because he's of all the tape and his big shoes. And then everything else seems to be in proportion. And then his head's teeny-weeny.
So, we need to do the head. We forgot the head. I'll just stick this little one on. That's all we've got.
All right, this year's trip, Neil, it's a special one. We're going all the way over to the west coast of the United States of America. We're going to kick off at the SoFi Stadium. We're going to watch the Rams versus the Seahawks, which is going to be extra special. It's a huge rivalry. A trip down the road, basically, for Seattle in one of the most beautiful NFL stadiums that exists.
Yeah, I love SoFi Stadium. I think it's so special to have the game and the trip kick off there. We'll see Sam Darnold. Hopefully Matthew Stafford, if his back's all right. I say we because I get in the day later. So I get in for the Monday Night Football in Las Vegas. The Raiders against the Dallas Cowboys. I'll be coming straight from Madrid. I'll be there for that one. I think that stadium as well, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, is fantastic. We'll have.
Oh, wait. Before we get to the game, we've got an epic road trip.
Yes.
Because we're going from SoFi after watching the Seahawks beat the Rams, by the way. Let's get that right for starters. Then on Monday morning, we're going to get into a fun bus. We're going to pile in the van, and we're going to go from Los Angeles all the way to Las Vegas. Through the desert. It's quite the trip via Palm Springs. And I believe that our dear friend Darren Fletcher at the moment is curating some kind of quiz, some kind of activity that will take place on the bus as we travel from LA to Las Vegas. Because when we get to Las Vegas, we're going to watch the Cowboys take on the Vegas Raiders, which is going to be extra special. And in my opinion, and we'll debate this on the bus because we'll have time, the Raiders, the best uniform in sport ever.
I think there's two of them going head to head here. Dallas is pretty iconic. The Raiders. So these are two iconic teams, the Cowboys and the Raiders. And then what I'm looking forward to as well, obviously those games are incredible. But on the Tuesday, we stopped doing this podcast remotely. We will all three of us be together and we are going to do a special USA Yeehaw edition in Las Vegas on Tuesday.
God only knows what the hangovers are going to be like. Because we're in Las Vegas. We'll have watched some Monday Night Football. We're going to have very, very sore heads. Mind you, knowing Darren Fletcher, he's not here so I can say it, he will probably fall asleep. As soon as the game finishes and as soon as we get back to the hotel in Vegas, he'll tap out tired, he'll have a couple of wings, maybe a beer or so, and then he'll go straight to bed. However, we're in Las Vegas and there is no excuse. We are going through. Maybe we should do a 3 a.m. podcast. We'll see how we get on.
So is it first one asleep loses their eyebrow?
Exactly.
One of those trips.
Yeah, or Sharpied.
Sharpied somehow ends up getting married.
Yeah. Well, we're in Vegas. We're in Vegas.
What if you and Fletcher end up marrying each other? That could be a bit
oh, my
weird.
God. Yeah. Well, we've spooned on previous trips, so who knows?
Never know. And then I know, obviously, you guys are going to head back. I'm going to go on to Houston for the Thursday night. That's an optional extra for people on the Extra Point podcast
Amazing.
Road trip this year. And it's the Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans. So Josh Allen,
what a
CJ
game.
Stroud, there's stars everywhere with that one. So I'm looking forward to it. So as we always talk about this, Vern, it's great to see the games. I think the stuff in between where we hang out with the fans, we get to talk about this sport we all love together. That's the bit that's just as special to me.
It feels like a school trip. It feels like a school trip. There are regulars on the trip who we already know, so you're straight in with the chat anyway. And those newcomers, everyone is welcome. And that conversation just evolves so quickly. And it only takes, I'd say, the first round of beverages for everyone to get to know each other. And Fletch is a master of curating conversations. Oh, you do this and you do that. Oh, great, you do that and you do this. So over the years that we've been doing this trip, the fun that we've had off and outside of the fields is just as good and entertaining as the games on there. I mean, we've eaten pizzas, deep pan pizzas in Chicago. You know, we've done all of that. We basked in the sunshine in Tampa Bay, which was extra special. New York was something else in the car park when we were tailgating, playing football and dancing to country music. It's just a special trip. And if you can afford it, I know for many that times are hard, but if you can afford it, I'm going to say it, and I'm not saying this loosely or freely. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip. You will not forget it, because Elite Sports Travel do everything for you. All you need to do is hand your passport over at the desk, get on the plane, the rest is taken care of by Ben and the team. It's awesome. And unless you're going to catch a baseball in a stadium, don't worry, they won't miss a trick. Virg, our videographer, knows exactly what I'm talking about. Neil, I don't know whether you know this, but we were at the Tampa Bay Rays Stadium, and there was a ball that came over, hit by the batter. It went skew-whiff. It came straight at us, caught it one-handed. Did we get it on video? No.
Did it happen then?
I handed it to a child in front of us.
Oh, of course you did.
You know, if it was a football, I would have kept that. Exactly. If it was a football, I would have kept that. That's coming home with me. But it was a baseball, and I'm like, oh, you can have that. Guess what the father of the child gave me in the trade for a game-used baseball?
A left hook.
No, go on, guess. Guess.
3/4 of his beer.
Nearly. He gave me one beer.
Okay, well, something. You're
joking. I made his child happy. I want at least a 6-pack.
Fair enough. I didn't realise it was a transaction. I thought you were just being nice, but there we go.
No, it ended up being a transaction, in all fairness. He did come down from the inside of the stadium and say, there you go, thank you very much. It was greatly appreciated.
So on that note, at Elite Sports Trav on social media, elitesportstravel.co.uk, get involved with the Extra Point podcast trip, and if you come, Fletcher buy your beer.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, Neil, that's brave. But I'll back him up as well. Yeah, if you come along and join us, the beers are on Fletch. Trust me. You've got more chance of wearing the crown jewels.